Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's KMA Preston, and today we are breaking down the Toledo versus Notre Dame Week 2 matchup that will be airing exclusively on NBC streaming service Peacock, so be prepared for that. One second. Alright, so like I said, this is the preview for Notre Dame versus Toledo Week 2. This is Notre Dame's first home game of the season, so that's exciting to get to see. It should be a fun one. It definitely needed a matchup against a lesser opponent, just to get some tune-up going. It wasn't our best performance in week 1, obviously. As most of you know, it, wasn't great. Once again, with the eye thing, won't always be looking right at you like I should be. It's a tiny little hole for the camera, so sometimes I forget. So sometimes I'll be like this. And then obviously I got 2 different locations for my notes this time. I got the laptop, which I'm trying to use to help with a little bit of the lighting. Obviously there's a shadow with the hat, but I don't know, I'm a hat guy, so you have to accept the weird triangle. But and then I got another thing going on is a Athlon preview mag. I actually forgot I had this. It's very helpful with some of the stats and numbers based off how teams did last year, especially for teams like Toledo and stuff that, for the opponents, it'll be good to look at. Be very helpful for these videos throughout the season. Obviously, we'll talk about more what these teams do during the regular season once we're later into the year, but both Toledo and Notre Dame have only played 1 game, so it's kind of tough just to preview them based off their week 1 performances, especially Toledo, who ended up playing the Norfolk State Spartans, which is an FCS school, and, well, to their credit, destroying them, winning 49-10. Toledo, we are better than Toledo. We'll just say that right there. That's obvious, and it should be the case. But to give Toledo some credit, they are a consistently good MAC team, and they're always pretty solid. Man, they're 4-2 last year in their shortened 6-game season, so that's solid right there. And in general, they're a pretty tough team to deal with. We'll get more than their numbers in a second. I guess we'll do a little bit of an injury recap. So the depth chart, Notre Dame just released depth chart for this game. This is Wednesday, September 8th when I'm recording this. This will be uploaded hopefully Thursday, so the 9th. But anyways, they released a depth chart, and it looks like, just based off the depth chart, which is hard for me to say for some reason, some guys might be on here that aren't listed. They might make the trip. You never know. But it looks like Sibo Flemister, Jordan Botello, and Logan Diggs are all still not listed, which is rather unfortunate because those 2 running backs are guys I was really hoping we'd get to see against a team like Toledo. There's not that many games where, we get to put in our backups, especially with Kelly, who's always hesitant to do it. So it seems like these small schools are our best chance to get to see reps from freshmen. And even the weirder part is that Audric Estime, our other freshman running back, isn't listed on the depth chart either, which you'd think he would be, considering, you don't want your 2-star running backs running the whole time against Toledo. Unless the plan is just to give Tyree a lot of carries, like even more. He only had 8 last game, so maybe you just make him a bell cow this game or something. I was just hoping we'd see some freshman running backs, but it's, what can you do, right? So Blake Fisher is obviously out, had a knee injury, unfortunately. So Michael Carmody, I think it's Carmody or Carmody. I guess it doesn't matter too much. He's the one who filled in for him during the Florida State game, and it appears he's going to stay the starter too until Fisher's back, or who knows, maybe he'll end up winning the job or something. But anyways, that means there is some shuffling at the backups, as Tosh Baker, who was listed as Lugg's backup at right tackle, is now over at left tackle backing up Carmody. I don't know, man. It seems like it should be an easy name. And then Joe Alt, the true freshman, who was a low 3-star, but people have been talking about his potential for a while. And he actually, part of his ranking, I believe, is probably because of his weight. He was a lighter guy, like 260 or something, which obviously is too small for a tackle. But I believe he's already up to like 290 something, if not more by now. So like he's got a lot of potential, and he is listed as the number 1 right tackle backup for. Why did I lose his name? Lugg. So they just, they moved around a little bit. So Carmody's backing up. Baker's backing up Michael, and Lugg is getting backed up by Joe Alt now. So, maybe we'll see some freshman O-linemen. I doubt it. I have a feeling they're going to get this O-line as many reps as possible, regardless of who we're playing, just based off their performance last game and the fact they just haven't played that much together. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Let's see. Tight end Kevin Bauman also suffered an injury, apparently, so that's rather unfortunate. So now they only list 1 backup from Meyer, and that is George Takis. I don't know if they'll change that. Maybe they'll bring some of these other tight ends. I know we got two freshmen in Mitchell Evans, the 6'7" kid who actually had a pretty impressive spring game. Obviously, that doesn't mean everything, but he did look good in the spring game. And I'm forgetting the other tight end's name, and it's gonna drive me crazy. So I'm gonna fix that real quick. Give me a second, guys. It annoys me when I forget these guys' names. I know he's from Georgia. You probably know him by now, so it's gonna annoy me even more. I'll just click it, Notre Dame. We'll see. Sorry, guys. If anything, it'll give me a recap on all of our freshmen. So, I'm going to talk about Toledo's recruiting class a little bit too, and some of the transfers. Although I've checked the stats from game one, and it doesn't look like a lot of their transfers being much of an impact. Okay, Kane Barong. Sorry, I don't know why I forgot his name, but Kane Barong. Maybe we get to see him a little bit this time. I think that'd be fantastic. I just want to see young people this game. That's what matters the most to me. I don't care, how big the game is. Like, if we blow them out, I expect us to blow them out, if I'm being honest. But I want to see the young kids. These are the games where you get the chance to. This is like New Mexico, like 2 years ago, stuff like that. This is where you get to see these guys, and I hope we do it more than we do. Brian Kelly, and honestly, has to get better at getting young guys reps before they're juniors already. It's a big problem with our receiving core too. Is guys like Chase Claypool really had no production until his junior year, which is crazy. That's just a waste of talent, if you ask me, So hopefully we get better at that, and Toledo seems like the perfect chance to do that, So we'll go from there. Now that we're done, the injuries, there's a couple more. Sorry, we're back on track. See, you guys have learned by now I ramble. I'm sorry. Let's see. So that's the injuries on offense. It's Bauman and Fisher, really, and, Diggs, Flemister, and Botello, but that's on defense. Botello's a defender. A lot of potential there, too, so it sucks we haven't seen him yet. We're guessing it's COVID, unfortunately, but we're hoping they're all right, and they can get back to us for week 3. Okay, so the linebacker room's the one getting hit a lot. If you watched my previous video, the post-game for the Florida State game, I ripped into that linebacker's performance a little bit. The linebacker room in general I thought was pretty poor in terms of pass coverage and just tackling for, the run. They ran all over us, Florida State, and a lot of it is because we just couldn't tackle, at all. It was atrocious. It's sad, quite frankly. So now it's a little worse, So Shane Simon, Paul Malala, and Maris Leofau are all out. Paul and Maris have been out, which is really unfortunate because there's a chance both of them would have been starting for us, which is crazy. I wish them the best of luck. I hope they get back soon. Paul Malala is actually a local kid. I think he played for Penn High School in Mishawaka, so really close to South Bend right there. They both were expected to have really expanded roles, but unfortunately, because injuries, the injury gods, how dare you? But anyways, the bright side, I guess you'd call it a bright side, is true freshman Prince Colley is on the roster now as the backup for J.D. Bertrand. And with the way some of this rotation has worked and based off the opponent, there's a chance we get to see some of Prince Colley. Prince Colley, if you don't know, is a 4-star recruit from this 2021 class who actually won the high school Biletnikoff Award, which is, the nation's best linebacker in high school. So that last year Notre Dame had the high school Biletnikoff winner and the college one, as Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah won it at the college level. Just so you know, heads up, the high school one is a little less prestigious, but it still worked out fairly well. You got guys like, I'm pretty sure Jalen Smith, who we all know was a legend for Notre Dame, also won it in high school. So that's something to keep an eye out for. I think this kid's really talented and has a lot of potential. So hopefully he'll get to see the field a little bit. They still haven't named an official starter for that rover position, as it's listed as Jack Kaiser or Isaiah Pryor. Personally, I would probably say Kaiser. I like Pryor when it comes to the run game, but the pass game, he's even weaker than Kaiser is. So it's technically still up in the air. We'll have to see how it goes. I want to see, real quick, I'm going to scroll through this depth chart, see if anything super surprising pops up at all. Not really. It looks pretty normal to me. Corners are Cam Hart and Clarence Lewis as your starters, which is fine. Ramon Henderson and Tariq Bracy are the backups for him. Safety is still Hamilton and Griffith, with Wallace backing up Griffith and DJ Brown backing up Hamilton. But like I said, the safety does play outside of Hamilton. Needs to get better in general, so maybe we'll see some Wallace against Toledo. Like I said, this is the game where I want to see these guys deeper on the depth chart get some reps. That's why it's weird where I don't know what the limit to depth chart is, but I feel like we should have more freshmen in this game. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's not like we're at an away game or anything where they don't travel with us. So I don't know all the rules, but I just hope we see some freshmen get reps, especially at receiver. That's important to me, and it should be important to everyone based off the fact that some of these receivers have transferred away, partially due to the fact that they've gotten basically no playing time. And as of right now, the depth chart for roster for wide receivers only has one freshman listed, and that is Lorenzo Styles, but hopefully he gets some reps at the very least, Special teams, all the same. So a lot of linebacker injuries we're dealing with, and then, Blake Fisher. But, like I said, the offensive line could be a concern all year, but against Toledo, it's not a crazy concern. They are very good defensively, but obviously it's more against their conference level of opponents. We'll get into some numbers now. I'll teach you a little bit about Toledo. I'm going to be looking off to the side a little bit and down a little bit, but that's for the magazine with the numbers they have. So, their 2020 team rankings overall in different categories. They were the 21st scoring offense in the nation. They averaged 35 points per game. That's pretty good. They've always been a pretty good offensive team. It's something to keep an eye out for. I'll still give our defense a test, especially considering that. I'll do this real quick. So they do all MAC first, second, and third teams for the preseason. And Toledo's running back Brian Kobach is listed as all MAC first team in the preview. So another chance to face some running backs. Their run game's solid. It'll be a decent test. Obviously, I have a feeling it won't be as potent as the Florida State run game, but hopefully it gives us a good chance to work on our tackling and our fundamentals and to shut down a very talented running back in the MAC at the very least. First team defensively, they got a D lineman, Deshaun Johnson is first team All-MAC, and their corner Samuel Womack is also All-MAC, along with their safety Tyson Anderson. So their secondaries on the MAC level, at the very least, they have a solid secondary. Their top corner and top safety, first team All-MAC. Something to keep an eye out for. We'll test Cone out, and maybe if any of the younger quarterbacks get reps, they'll go against people who aren't real slouches. Toledo's they're good for their level. That's the only problem is, it's their level. So let's see. I'm gonna keep going for you guys. No one on the second team offense. They got a D lineman, second team defense. And then third team offense is a receiver, Isaiah Winstead, and O-lineman Nick Rossi. And then, that's it. So they're not horrible by any means. They got some talent for sure, especially that running back. Something, if you had to pick a concern, their X factor would be their run game, you could say. I pulled up their stats from the previous game, and let's see. DeQuan Finn had 82 yards rushing. Brian Kobach had 52. Micah Kelly had 41. Jacqueline Smart 23. Jordan Lowe 20. And Carter Bradley 2. So overall, a very successful night of rushing, just spread out. They did a committee approach, and it worked well for them. I mean, the averages are what's impressive. 9.1, 5.8, 5.9, 5.8, and 4 for their guys who got to run the rock. Very big numbers, so that's something to keep an eye out for. I'm sure if they watch tape, they saw how bad we were against the run, and I have a feeling they will test our run defense prowess. So that'll be something to watch for. We'll see how good we are. Like I said, to me, I said this last video, this seems like a perfect opportunity to have it. It's a tune-up game, kind of. We better dominate them. I think it could be a fun game, just, getting to see some young guys. But I just want to point out that they're not awful. They're not real slouches. They beat the crap out of this FCS team, which is something some Power 5 teams did not do this week one, like Washington and Tulsa, among others. Just D1 schools who couldn't get it done against FCS schools compared to Toledo, who made it very, very easy and clear, what they were doing. They had 441 total yards, 205 rushing yards, and 236 passing yards. That's pretty good. The 205 rushing yards is probably what we're going to keep our eye on, because that's clearly our defensive weakness at the moment, just based off week one, is the running game. And with all these linebackers out, it definitely doesn't help. So we'll have to see just how good we are, really, and it'll be a good test. Anyways, back to the numbers. They're actually only 59th in the nation in running last year, so not that potent, but based off this week one and the fact that the running back is first team All-MAC, it is still something. I'd say it's probably my biggest concern while facing them. I'm not real worried about our corners, if I'm being honest. Maybe when some of the backups come in, it'll be a little interesting, but I have faith that they can get it done too. I hope we see backups. Like I said, I hope we see backups on the whole field. I hope we see second and third teams, like every position, once we get at least past halftime, ninth in the nation in passing, 13th in total offense. So they're pretty good offensively. They're actually not big of a drop-off. They're a pretty balanced team as they were 36th in total defense last year, 25th against the run, 64th against the pass, though, so their weakness might be the pass game still. But I have a feeling we're going to want to emphasize the running offense, as that's where we struggled the most against Florida State, just in terms of numbers. We didn't get good average yards per carry and not a lot of running success, so I'm sure they want this young just offensive line that hasn't got to play a lot together to play more together and to get the ground going and be aggressive and really run the ball down Toledo's throats. So I'd look for a run-heavy game plan this week, if I'm being honest. We'll see what happens, and maybe it expands a bit more if the lead grows and we can start playing some backups. Maybe they'll mix some stuff up. Overall, not awful. This is a good MAC team, so I think it's a decent test. I mean, there's definitely way worse teams we could have played and beaten up on, in terms of lower FBS opponents, group of 5 opponents. There's worse guys. We could have played like an Akron or something like Auburn did, but we picked one of the better MAC teams. So, slight test, but still should be something we win pretty easy, if I'm being honest with you guys. The spread is, I have it somewhere, I'm sorry. It's going to drive me crazy. Here it is. The spread is 16.5 points in favor of Notre Dame. I'd say we cover. I have a feeling I think we win by at least 17, if I'm being honest. I feel like it's going to be like my prediction. I'm going to give it now 38-14. And I think we probably give up a little bit to Toledo in either garbage time or right at the start of the game, one or the other. And so I'd say 38-14 is my score prediction, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think the score would be, if you think I'm crazy, if there's anything else I didn't talk about you feel like I missed, I'll gladly discuss it with you in the comments section. I think I addressed our injuries pretty well. X factors, I should have said, for Toledo is their running back is the guy we want to look out for right there. DeQuan Finn was their top runner with 9 carries for 82 yards, but he wasn't even, give me a second. It was Bryant Kovac who was the first team All-MAC, and he had 9 carries for 52 yards, 5.8 yards per attempt, and 2 touchdowns. So really, just the running back room to me is probably their X factor, just based off how we performed last week and how they performed so far this season, and based off some preseason, MAC teams and stuff like that. I'd say their running game, their X factor on defense. From what I've heard, they have a very good D line. It's an experienced bunch, and so they might be our O-line should be good enough just based off talent alone. They still need more coaching and work together. But just, if you're comparing the size of them and their rankings and stuff, it should be a Notre Dame victory in the trenches. But we'll see. Hopefully they get a little bit of a test. If we're being honest, we need our O-linemen to get tested. And I think this Toledo D-line, for MAC standards, is very good. So, yeah, their X factor on defense to me is their D-line. Our X factors has to be... Talking about just players, you go Kyron Williams and you go Kyle Hamilton. I don't know how much Kyle will play this game. It might be your perfect opportunity to play the other safeties to try to get them better and get them some reps. But I think if Kyle is on the field, he is obviously very dangerous, especially against lower level teams who, the quarterbacks are good, but maybe they're not quite as savvy as some of the top tier schools. So look for Kyle Hamilton on defense. Pass rush might be really good too. Their O-line isn't awful, but for our standards, a kid like Isaiah Foskey might be able to eat today, or any of the younger guys we dip into. So hopefully the D-line can wreak some havoc. So I guess I'll say D-line this time. I'll say D-line then instead of just Kyle. And then on offense, I'd say Kyron and Tyree. I mean, they're the only 2 running backs listed on the depth chart, which, like I said, was interesting. But they're going to want to look to get their numbers back up and be able to run effectively. So look for them to both have big days. Don't know who will end up with more carries. Maybe they start riding Tyree a little bit just to give Kyron a bit of a rest, knowing that, they'll be tougher opponents later on. So anyways, guys, those are my X factors. I gave you my score prediction, 38-14, I believe is what I said. So let me know who you think will impact the game the most and your predictions for this game. Also, please like this video. It helps grow the channel, small channels like me. our videos really don't get shown to anyone unless it gets a decent amount of likes and comments on it. So please engage with this video. It would be very helpful. Then I got the playlist for Notre Dame over in the information tab in the corner yet again, so you can check out all my Notre Dame related content, including previews for games, post-game videos, which there'll be a post-game video for this Toledo game, of course, and then other Notre Dame content like videos about commitments from recruits or if big news happens, etc., like a transfer comes in, stuff like that, coaching changes, anything like that. Click right here to subscribe. Up here is the playlist again, just in a bigger bracket. Over here is a video of mine that YouTube decided to recommend for you. This is KMA Preston signing out. I'll see you guys later. This is also available on audio if you Google the KMA Sports Show on any of your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, etc. KMA Sports Show. All right. KMA Preston signing out. Go Irish.